Welcome back, everybody. This is the Ultra Young Podcast with me, Colby Paul, and my teacher and friend, Russ Mayo.
Teacher and friend. It is a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm very excited to hear about how things have gone with your race. You did it, 50 miles. You knocked it out, and I don't want to take away from any of the excitement, so let's get right into it.
Yeah, 50 miles completed, and I was happy about it. So, yeah, should we just start at the start and go?
Let's start at the beginning. I believe I would like to know from your journey of you got checked out of school on Friday.
Yep.
And you made your way to the airport. So I would guess that some of your anxiety and excitement probably began way before that, but let's start right there on your start to the airport. You've packed your bags and you're on your way.
Yep. So I was telling my mom, it was when I was packing my bags, I was like, man, I'm doing this. I'm putting in running clothes. I'm going through the checklist about 100 times. I got this, making sure I have everything. And that's where it kind of hit me. I was like, wow, 50 miles, it's here. Because it was always a month or two away, and now it's here. So it was big. But yeah, going to the airport and even on the flight wasn't much. I wasn't really anxious. I was just kind of all right, going to Arizona. It didn't really hit me there, but packing is where it hit me big.
Okay. So tell us what you packed. You're getting ready for a race. Did you spend extra time after the race there, or was it race, pack it up, and get home?
It was race and get home. So I packed stuff to sleep in, and I packed my running stuff and one pair of clothes, I think, just for when we went out to dinner the night before.
Okay.
But it was very minimal, and it was just race focused.
What pair of shoes did you wear?
So I have two pairs of shoes. I have a trail pair of Saucony shoes. They're women's shoes because I got small feet and they fit me well. That was funny.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, I went to the running store to get some shoes to see which fit me best. And we tried on one pair of men's shoes, and the worker goes, "Have you ever worn women's shoes?" And I was like, well, no, but if it makes my feet comfortable, I'll wear whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so I have one pair of trail Sauconys and then a pair of road Sauconys. And I brought both of them because I was going to switch it halfway.
Okay.
That was kind of my game plan going in.
Did you end up doing that?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
it was a good move. But yeah, so I had my shoes, my pack, all my electronics, headphones, phone, earbuds, headlamp, just everything. I just thought that packing list through 10 times in my head. I have every single thing. I did not want to miss anything.
Did the race coordinators give you a checklist of things that you needed to bring, or was it just kind of?
It was just kind of you know this, you know what you got to bring.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't any. It was a pretty small race. It was, I think total there wasn't over 200 people.
Wow. So
it was nice.
Okay, the conversation that you had with your dad, on your way there, because he was running a 30 mile, or what was he doing?
50K.
Okay.
So it's 32 miles around there.
Yeah, you don't want to shortchange that 2 miles. But what did you guys talk about? What was your pregame, your plan?
It was just kind of we were just both okay, let's do this. Let's get it. It's funny, the whole trip we're saying, let's just get this over with.
That's the attitude.
We sounded so, it sounded so bad because we signed up for it.
Yeah.
And we were excited to go, but the whole time we're just do the race, get home. We don't want to be here.
We paid for this torture.
You'd think we'd be excited, but no. Yeah, we're just kind of we'll do the race. That's what we're doing. And there was an hour bus ride. So we had to drive to the finish line, check in with the race, and then you get on a bus and drive to the start line.
Yeah.
And in the bus, there's a bunch of runners. They're all pretty excited. My dad is snoozing right next to me in the seat. So it is just me with a bunch of other people talking, just thinking, man, I got to do 50 miles right now.
Yeah.
And oh man, it was weird. It was a weird thought.
No, that's really fun. So those surrounding you, we've talked about this, that you're pretty young to be running these ultras, and ultra young. So what was the feeling around the conversation with those around you that were probably much older, probably bearded old men?
Oh
in their midlife crisis.
I know. I always joke. I say ultra running. You see a lot of people in their midlife crisis. You see people who love being outdoors and people.
It's a good place to be.
It's just funny. That's a good thing to do in a midlife crisis. Is just go run 50K or 50 miler. But yeah, I didn't really, even on the bus ride, I didn't really talk to anyone except for my dad before he fell asleep. I was just kind of like in my zone, just thinking through, okay, you know what to do. Just, you got this.
Yeah.
And that was kind of for like the hour bus ride. That's kind of just what was in my head. And it was dark outside, and I was like, please get light. Like, I don't want to start in the dark. That's also what was going through my head.
To see. Did you get a lot of words of encouragement, people that were excited to see that you were on the bus with them?
Yeah, there was a couple of people there was a lot of people. Here's what was funny. Every time I passed someone or someone looked at me, they always looked at my bib because the bibs were colored to what race you were doing. So 50Ks were green, 50 milers were black, and the half marathon, I don't remember what color they didn't go on the bus. Yeah. But every person, they'd look down at my pants and see I was black, and then they'd walk away. And it was just kind of funny. I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm doing the 50.
I am up here.
Yeah, it was
biggest mileage for that race, right?
Yeah, it's prideful in a way.
Yeah.
They look down, they see the black bib, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. You and your green bib.
You and your green bib only running 32 miles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great. So when you lined up and you're waiting for that moment, did they have like an MC saying like, hey, it's going to begin, and have some music and things like a normal, like a half marathon or marathon?
So it was really low key. Like, there was an MC and he had a mic, but there wasn't any music. There were a couple porta potties.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a start line. He just put his foot in the dirt and kind of like scratched out a line. Because through the 50K and 50 miler, there wasn't that many people at all. So it was kind of just one guy up there. And the finish line was big and it had like music, but the start line was just a bus, a couple porta potties, and the starter guy.
Celebration, just like, hey, you guys are here. You're going to do something hard.
Yeah.
Let's not like use your energy up before you go for it.
But
draw a line in the sand.
Draw a line in the sand and just get going. And they're like, hey, if you start 10 feet ahead, it's okay. You're still running 50 miles.
And no lines for the porta potties. For those that are in the marathons and half marathons, that might be one of those perks to be able to go and do. It's not even close to a perk big enough for me.
That's crazy to think those are perks.
Yeah, I did download on Audible a like guide to ultra running, and I hesitated downloading it because I'm like, if I download this and I listen to it, I might want to start doing it. But as of right now, I'm still like, no, this is way far out there. But I want to understand like what you're going through, so I want to like learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to talk about.
So speaking of talking about, we haven't talked about your race at all yet. Like, here's the build.
We're still at the start.
You're at the starting line. They've drawn that line in the sand. Did they start it with just a simple ready, go?
Mm-hmm. It was just like, okay, 3. They counted down from 10, and they're like, go. And it's kind of anticlimactic because everyone's really slow.
You started with your with those doing the 50K as well, right?
Yeah, so 50 miles and 50K started together. So I was there with my dad and our other running buddy, Jim.
Okay.
We were all there kind of together, just like, we got this. Let's do this.
To do it. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Were there any words mixed from you guys, or were you kind of in your zone?
No, we would all talk, and we're just, I mean, I don't even like remember it in a way. It was kind of so long ago.
Yeah.
Like, that day was so long that part.
Even though it was just last Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was just like there was so much excitement. It kind of blocks out whatever I was thinking or saying at that time.
Well, let's move into it. The countdown happens. You cross that line in the dirt. You start your run. It's pretty dark, but light enough that you can see.
It was, by the time we started, it was light enough. It wasn't. So the sun had gone up, and we started, and you just kind of move. The one thing I had focused on the start was don't go under 9:30.
Yeah.
Like, don't just go fast off the start.
Don't be a hero.
Yeah. I was like, there's no point. Just don't. So I did that, and my first mile was like 9:20. And I was like, oh my gosh.
What have I done?
I was like, you have one thing you're thinking about. So I started slowing it down for the next miles, and I was also thinking, eat and drink.
Yeah.
Like, just eat and drink, because my main focus for the start was energy. Do not lose all the energy you have for these next 50 miles.
Yeah.
And I did all right, even though I had a 9:20 mile at the very start. But yeah, you just kind of move, and there weren't that many people, so you weren't getting past or passing. So it's kind of nice. You just early on, you just got in your zone and just win.
Okay, well, we're going to spoil it a little bit. I want people to understand like your overall pace to compare it to that first mile, because to the average runner, they'd say like a 9:20 and be like, Oh, I could do that.
Yeah, I
but
can
they're
do a
also
920.
running like 1 to 2 miles.
Yeah.
So tell us like what place you took, what your average pace was, and we'll go there, and then we'll hop back to like maybe jumping at that mile 13, and then again at 26, and then at like your 32 mile, kind of those markers.
Yeah.
That regular races.
No, good call.
Regular.
Good call. So yeah, my final time was 11 hours, 33 minutes, and 44 seconds on the dot, and pace was 13:23. So it's like, yeah, when you think about it, you're like, that's a slow mile.
Yeah.
But for 50 miles, I was okay with that as an average.
50 miles.
So yeah, going into it, I was thinking under 12 hours would be good, or even around 12 hours would be good. And I did that. So that was really cool for me.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking 13th or 14th place.
Overall.
Yeah, 14th overall.
And your age group was you, right?
I won my age group, first place.
First place in the 17-year-old age group. The only 17-year-old there. You mentioned to me the next oldest person was how old?
I believe he was 24.
24 years
and
old.
I finished right with him. His name was Chase.
Oh, that's great.
Me and him, I caught up to him right at mile 48, and we ran the last two together, encouraging
that's so
on.
Great. Yeah, because you kind of branched off on your own. Your dad was in the other race, and you broke off. About what time did you like separate from your dad?
About 10 feet into the 50 miles.
And you're gone.
Yeah, we said good luck and parted ways. It was right off the start.
All right. So as you were running, let's talk about where you got to about the 13-mile point. When you checked in mentally to see where you were, like with your physical and mental game, how did that feel?
I actually felt really, so mile 12 and 13, I felt good because it had been all gradual downhill from there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is sweet. I was like, I'm not doing too fast in miles, but I still feel like I have a lot of energy. I was eating great. And then there was like an 8-mile climb from mile 12. And I was like, are you kidding me? It went from my miles being 10s to 13s and 14s.
Yeah.
So that was
real
tough.
Change in
Oh,
pace.
yeah.
So feeling good at 13. Now that's that half marathon mark. Now when you got to 26, around 26, 27, how did you feel?
So I was like 26, 27 was right in like the hard spot where you're going up and over hills, and you're in the desert in Arizona. So it's like,
so the terrain was,
yeah, it's desert. There's no one there. It's just like 3 cactuses, and you're just going up and over hills, in and out of washes. And
how
I
was
was
the
like,
footing? Like, did you have pretty good like support on everything, or was it like stepping into some sand and like trying to just get your grip?
it was loose rocks. It was single track pretty much the whole trail,
Okay.
and it was kind of loose rocks. But the one big danger was cactus.
Oh,
You had to
yeah.
look out for cactus that had fallen on the trail,
Oh.
because, I mean, I passed probably 5 or 6 people that were picking
Picking it
little
out of
things
it.
out of their shoe, and I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want that.
No, on top of running that distance.
Right? It was, so that was the big scary, was cactuses, and if you slip on these loose rocks, you're falling into a cactus. So I was like, the whole time it's just hyper focus on the ground pretty much.
All right. So physically, 26.2 miles to like just that area. You're going over that hard terrain. Where were you mentally?
Mentally, I was kind of like, I was just thinking, this is way more than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, because in my mind, I couldn't even imagine what 50 miles is. And already at mile 26, I'm like, wow, I'm only halfway.
I'm halfway.
It's draining. It's super draining just to think I've been doing this for 5-6 hours and I'm
Yeah.
only here. So it's just kind of, that was hard. But then at mile 26, there was a big aid station where my mom was able to be there and like park. So I was there. I was able to sit down. That's where I
Yeah.
changed my shoes, just kind of relax. And that helped a ton
Okay.
because you almost feel new.
Oh, that's great. So some people stiffen up. You were able to like actually recharge.
Yeah.
How was your nutrition up to that point?
It was super good. By the time I was getting to aid stations, I was empty. I was like fully refilling water, grabbing snacks. I was really happy with my nutrition then, and I felt good. Like I had good energy. And it went downhill from 26.
That's where the story changes.
That is the last time I could say my nutrition was really good.
So you're eating well, your energy is high, you've got your mom there change in your shoes. You've got your plan. Everything seems like yes.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, okay, I can do this. I got this.
Okay. And then you break away from the mother figure. Your dad is nowhere to be found.
Nope.
You've got nobody around you. You take your first couple steps and you're now out of sight. What changed?
I mean, so
And
first,
what time of day was it? I would like to put
it's still
some
right at
perspective.
we're about right at noon right now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of splotching the time of the day because it was just sun and then dark. So it was probably right around the middle of noonish. And you leave the aid station, and about half a mile away, there's a breakoff point that says 50 Ks this way, 50 miles this way. And I mean, our running partner Jim, he always was saying, he's like, don't even look right. Like, you don't even want to think about the 50K, because he said a lot of people do just break off to the 50K because,
They're
I mean,
like,
you
I can
ran,
finish it.
yeah, you ran like 30 miles at that point. And he was like, don't even look there. It's not even a thing. So I didn't. I just turned left and went.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't see a person. That was hard because I didn't see a person after that up until the next aid station. So I was like, am I lost? Like, what's wrong? It was scary. And that's where it started going downhill.
So you got in your own head, started thinking, like, what am I doing? I'm just barely over halfway. And it's close to noon. So how did you get past that moment of, like, am I lost? And did you look? I guess that's my question. Did you take a look at the 50K?
I never even thought about it.
Oh,
I took a photo. I'll be a little graphic here. I took a photo. I was giving the middle finger to the right side. I sent it to my friend. I was like, never even a thought.
Oh, my gosh.
So, but that's what happens when you're at mile 38 and you're
when
like,
your mind is gone and
28.
your morals are out of the
yeah.
game.
I'm like, never even a doubt. That was, yeah. So that was a little insight of what I do when I see a sign like that.
See you later.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking to the class, like we gathered together in our sports broadcasting class, and I had you talk to people about your experience. And one experience stood out to me, and I want to hear this story. You're getting ready at that aid station. You were supposed to pick something up of value, and you left that back there, and you didn't have something. So what was that something that you left, and what did that do to your mental game?
Headlamp.
And why would you need a headlamp?
Yeah, I mean, I'm finishing in the dark.
Yeah.
Almost, unless I somehow throw out a 10-hour run.
Yeah.
I was gonna finish in the dark, and I knew that. So in a bag, we had a headlamp and just like some other things, like the shoes that I changed, just all the things that I was gonna need for the second half. And I'm running mile 32 after I had met my mom, and I'm like, crap. I don't have a headlamp. I didn't grab it, and at that point, we had planned it out to where that was the only time I was meeting up until mile 50.
Yeah.
So I was like, now I have to run with a phone flashlight.
Yeah, which is like a single LED
Oh
light.
my
that
gosh.
You barely have any vision.
It's almost worse than no vision.
Yeah.
It's bad. So it was kind of hard. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to hurt my time. This is going to be terrible. I don't want to finish like this. And I had to run the next 12 miles just like with that in my head. And yeah, I was like, you're kidding me. And from mile 32 on, it's a lot of climbing. And I was like, this sucks. Because the whole time I'm thinking, I want to go fast because I don't want to run in the dark that much. And right when I kind of started thinking that, it was right before a 2-mile large uphill climb, and I got lost right before that.
Oh.
So I hiked half a mile uphill that I didn't have to do. Then I had to turn around, and that is the most physically, morally, and mentally draining thing in the world.
Yeah.
When you're trying to go fast and you have a big part you know you're going to be slow on and you miss it and have to go back and do it, that was just like, I was like, shoot me now. That was so bad. And then I finally get to the top of the aid station. I'm like, okay, I can turn around and it's downhill. Going downhill, trying to go fast, sun's setting. It's getting a little chilly. I'm like, oh, I don't have a jacket. And I come around a bend. There's like a little dirt parking lot, and I see my parents.
Yes.
And I was like, no way. And I run out there, and I'm just like motioning, headlamp, headlamp, headlamp.
Yeah, where's my headlamp?
I'm like, I need a headlamp. And they're like, what? You didn't grab it? I'm like, no, I didn't grab it. They saved my bacon so hard. Like, the whole time I'm thinking in my head, I can't even focus on the race. I'm thinking, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
This is terrible. I'm already hurting. This just makes it so much worse. And boom, saved my life. My dad gave me his jacket. He goes, do you need a jacket? I was like, yeah, I do.
Yes.
Takes off his jacket right there, and he's like, take it. I was like, oh, man. And they told me, they were like, okay, it's all downhill from here. You've done the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's good now. And once again, that was just another boost. That was just Mario Kart speed boost right there. That's all I can explain it as.
And so did they have a headlamp for you too?
Yep, I got the headlamp, and I was just couldn't have been more happy in my life.
Oh, that's great.
And then and then it was there to the end.
Okay, so let's talk about like the highs and lows. So from that point, you're getting really a lot closer to the end, and you're going to finish in the dark. You're only in your own head. So what was the most memorable part of like, yes, I'm doing something that is fantastic. I can't believe I'm going to finish, versus like, what am I doing?
So at mile, I want to say it was 44, you kind of come over, you've just done a mile uphill climb, and you kind of get on the top of a mountain, and it was right at sunset, really pretty, and I had like music blasting in my ear, and I was far enough, like that was super emotional. Yeah. I was like, I did this. Like I teared up. It's just so cool. After running for 10 hours, you're like
10-hour run.
You're like, insane. I'm gonna accomplish this. This is a goal that I've had for a while. It's really emotional moment.
Yeah.
And then from there on, it's emotional, but in a different way, because you're like, I'm in so much pain. Get me to the finish line. And then it's dark, and you're by yourself. You can just see spotted headlamps everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of running. I'm like, okay, I think I'm close, but I'm still 8 miles away.
Yeah.
And I am horrible on my nutrition at this point. I'm barely drinking water.
Yeah.
I'm taking like 2 Smarties every 3 miles. Horrible. But I was so tired, and I thought I was so close to the end that I was like, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm gonna make it.
It wasn't fine.
Yeah.
Do not, like, that's something that I just can't do. It's a rookie mistake, really. And at mile 48, there's a mile of just sand. Slightly uphill sand. And talk about like just a beat down.
Yeah, for anybody who's ran in the sand, like you go to the beach, if you go to the desert, like you don't have a foothold. And you are generating power from different places. You've got your like hip flexors are doing the work, and they're already shot.
It was tough. So I'm thinking, man, I really wanted to finish. I thought I was going to finish faster, but now I have this mile of sand that I have to walk, and it's slower than even normal walking because I'm in sand.
Yeah.
And the only thing it does for you is it's a little softer on your feet. Yeah. That's all sand gives you.
So
everything else is a downhill. But I'm just walking up there, and I can see a guy with his headlamp up ahead, so I'm kind of walking a little faster. So I'm like, I want to talk to him. He's probably hurting too. And that was Chase, the next age above me. And it helped. Me and him talked for about the next mile of sand. And I mean, if you've ever talked to someone on an ultra especially, it just helps to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because you take your mind off it. You're both going through the same thing, so you have that connection automatically.
Oh, that's great.
And it's just, it's kind of cool.
Okay, so you're going up this, obviously you get through the sand, you get through that pain, you're finishing out with Chase. So let's go straight to that moment of glory when you're coming in and you're finishing and you've got your mom and dad there. The emotions running high. Let's talk about crossing the line. Your 50 is done.
It's so unbelievably crazy and rewarding, even though all you get is a horseshoe. It's so mentally and physically rewarding to cross that line, because you're like, I can do this. Like, people always ask, what's a big push? To know that I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I have that in me. And that was cool to just, you cross the line and you're like, I just ran 50 miles. I
Yeah.
spent all day doing this. It's over. I've done it. And I did it better. I did it in a faster time than I had hoped.
Even with taking that detour.
Even with the total of miles I ran being 51.86.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did it faster. And it's just awesome. Like, that's
such
what
a
makes
cool
you want to do
feeling.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I'm super impressed that you put in the work. And one of the biggest things is this was a stepping stone.
Oh,
so
yeah.
What did you learn?
I learned that it's my 100. I have no time
Give me
hopes.
just a second. Apologize.
No, yeah. I have no time hopes. It is just FINISH. Just cross the finish line before 30 hours because that's the cutoff. Like that's,
And you'll do it.
yeah, that's my only, because any time during the 50, I'd think about my time. I would just kind of get on myself and then I'd try to go faster, and it never helped in any way for me. And so that's kind of something I'm like, and it's a different race. It's obviously different because it's double the distance, but it's different. It's less elevation. This 50 had almost 8,000 feet compared to the 100 being almost 3,500 or something like that. So it's so much less of a climb, and I'll have a pacer in the 100, which, I'm happy for because, man, it gets lonely running those 50s.
So tell me what your pacer is going to do for you in the 100. Like, you've got multiple pacers, and you've picked those out, and what do they bring to the table?
They forced me to take nutrition, even if I don't want to, because that's what hurt me. I was so tired, and I just didn't want to do anything. I was like, I just want to be done, so I didn't take nutrition. I didn't drink water, and it hurts. So one, they're going to force me to do that. Two, they're going to give me someone to be with, and that just helps. Yeah. Someone you know, someone you trust. They can tell you, come on, you just got to push it.
Yeah.
And three, they'll just motivate me. They'll be like, we can't sit down right now. We got to get up and go.
So when you chose your pacers, did you go through the process of thinking, this is a person who's going to motivate me versus maybe, I don't know, I've heard people saying, like, they wouldn't have their mom be a pacer because they'll see you in this pain and be like, oh, Colby, just take a little nap.
When we were thinking about our pacers, we were like, all right, Mom, what happens at mile 82 when I say my legs hurt and I want to quit? What do you do? She was like, well, then we quit. And then we go home. And I'm like, well, you're fired as a pacer.
You're out.
You can be support, but you are not pacing.
Oh, that is crazy.
I had to think about the pacers. I mean, it has to be someone who cares about you, obviously, but will not let you quit. Like, they know what you can do, and they're not going to baby you. They'll be like, get up right now.
Get up.
You have to move. Like,
and somebody who's aware enough that if you are in a bad state,
that
they're going to take care of you, but push you to your limits.
It's really, I mean, it can be a hard job to be a pacer. So.
Oh yeah.
But that's why, I really like. I only have 3 or 4 pacers, so it's very specific. Like this person, this person, this person.
That's going to be great. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to conclude this season
of
the Ultra Young podcast.